Welcome to JAG After Dark, where hard work meets harsh truth and strong drinks. This is the story about the brains and balls that it took to create JAG Metals. This is JAG After Dark.
So this is our second.
You nervous again? I mean, don't stutter with me, okay?
I was going to be the one that was nervous.
Y'all.
Yeah, like last time she's sitting over there like, I'm like, come on, Benna, come on.
It's retching.
Get another drink.
So you think I'm pretty?
Yeah, get another drink.
We didn't drink.
Oh, here, sorry, cheers.
Cheers.
Sorry, cheers.
To our
Yeah, we didn't get the drink last week.
episode. Yeah, drinking. Okay, so you got the JAG Metals co-owners.
The original OG.
The OGs. This is officially Justin's 50th birthday episode, too.
Yeah.
50 on Friday.
I know, right?
So,
Oh, man.
tell me what it's like, y'all working together, how it started, funny stories. Let's just dig into it.
Where do you want to start?
I guess if you were talking about y'all's first job, I guess when y'all first started.
Very first job we ever worked was down in Crescent. So everybody thinks Blake and I are brothers or like we've known each other our whole lives, and that is not how that went down.
No,
Not at all. First job we worked on was actually for Zach Chester down in Crescent. And you want to tell him?
I didn't know I knew who he was, but I didn't know him. And I don't know how detailed you want me to get into this, but
Get it?
so him and Jason were down there working.
My brother.
His brother, yeah. And I look over. Of course, all I can hear is screaming. I'm up on the building putting screws in the sheets, and I look over and Justin's screaming at his brother, but he's standing on a packer in a ditch. And it's a remote, it's a little small one, and they had to set it down in there. And he is screaming at his brother the whole time.
So normal day?
Yeah. And I'm like, what in the world is Jason doing over there? And he's sitting on the tractor, and of course he don't know whether to go forward, backwards, what to do. But that's kind of how, like I said, I've always known Justin.
Yeah, y'all were working together.
Yeah, well, so T and Blake, Zach, they all had a company together, and Buzz at Welding. And thank God they did. I'll get into that later. But so they had Buzz at Welding, and we had done that job somewhat together. And then economy crashed out in 08, 09. I'd ran up to Pittsburgh, I come back, I do a job in Tulsa. So I've been on the road forever, and I was out at the Chester's working for Curtis, and T and I, we was drinking, and so Lil T, he's like, well, come South Texas, pour the concrete. And I'm like, no, I'm not leaving. I'm done with construction. It all went to hell. I was mad at the world. He said, well, this is what it pays. So I loaded my trailer the next morning. And we get down there, and we were in, where was the first job? Big Wells?
Big Wells, yeah.
Have y'all had all y'all's machinery by now?
We weren't together. No, this is way prior to this.
This is when I actually talked to Justin, was when we were doing, well, I think we were over at was it Chad's barn, horse barn or something, and we talked about it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
so they just all are like getting ready to meet.
Yeah, so we were working down there together, and, I'm like, man, we ought to be making this panel, right? So how do we cut out the middleman? And anyway, so the talks had been going on. T and I, we had talked about it because I'd ask him a lot of questions about it. And then Blake and I, we're down there one night at the ranch, and he had this maroon Dodge. I'll remember like it's yesterday, and we're sitting at the back, and he's like, can I talk to you a second? Of course, we're drinking. I'm like, hey, it's ripping cigs, and he's like, T and Zach want me to buy them out. And I'm like, well, would you write them a check? And he's like, well, they want X for it. And no offense, guys, but y'all priced it way too cheap. But we're out in East Texas, the middle of nowhere. And I find this machine that makes panel. Now, we didn't know at the time it was called a roll former, right? Mm. And it's in Rainbow, Alabama. Oh, yeah. So we drive all night, right? I swear to God, all night. And Blake.
Yeah, I picked him up. He was pouring concrete. Yeah. I picked him up that evening, and we drove.
Yeah.
And I couldn't sleep in the truck, so I drove the whole night.
Yeah. And so we get out there, and we get our hotel room.
Whole hour,
like 5. This old bastard calls me at 6 o'clock. I'm like, we got to go. And Blake's like, seriously? I'm like, well, I don't know. And so you tell them what happened when we get in the car with this old man from New York City and Rainbow, Alabama.
I can't remember the whole details. I just remember going to his shop, and then here we are with my old red Dodge and a trailer on, and we're going to pick up this machine that's no bigger than this table right here. And we think we're going to do it. We're fixing to do it. This is it. Anyways, we get it loaded up, and the guy's explaining it to us, and we're like, yeah. And we go down, we go down the street and looked at one, and we thought, oh, yeah.
Hell yeah, it was getting rich.
We're getting rich. And
then we stop at the casino on the way home. We're gonna stay.
We're gonna stay at the casino in Shreveport, and then come home the next morning because neither one of us slept. And I mean, he has, but we bounced all the way back, so I don't know how good he slept. But we get back to Shreveport, and
Cody called.
He called and had some problems or whatever. So we no more walk into the thing and just like, we got to go. So we load up, and anyways, we made it back.
So Blake had this little red wooden barn on his place, and
it sat in there for how long?
I don't remember.
It was a while.
Yeah, we tear this so much to the ground, and we build this 30 by 40 at the back, and we're doing it. And I'm over in Dallas, and I call him, and I'm like, hey, I'm gonna buy us this forklift, like $5,000. And he's like, perfect. And we get this thing, and we put new road base around the barn. It buried straight up. You couldn't even get the panels out of the damn deal, but back to Lane Field. So they're building a facility out off of Dennis Road, and we got an order. We got timber tan. So we don't know what we're going to do. We'll finally get old to Klockner. Jason worked for him then, remember, bag of balls. And but anyway, we get out there, and they have to spin the coil down and cut it in half. You know, all of our coils now are 10,000 pounds. Well, this little manual uncoiler, it couldn't handle but 5,000 pounds at a time.
Yeah, but tell them about when you come in the old Dodge, had it on a flatbed trailer, a little bumper pull, and it looked like the bumper was dragging the ground.
Yeah, so that was the night I went to Houston. I stayed. It's this beautiful facility I stayed at, too. And I roll up in behind all these 18-wheelers get loaded, and they bring these two little coils over, and they sit them down. And my Dodge and Mo Dooley, everything just squatted right in the middle. And I got to come all the way back from Houston. So I'm like coming back on I-45 the next day, and I'm showering on this sumbitch. And I've still got pictures of that. So I have a picture of it in front of the 30 by 40 we built out at Blake's. And that sumbitch it's literally bent in a V. Yeah, so we rolled our first panels, would have been November of 2014.
14, yeah.
On Thanksgiving night.
What was the color?
Timber tan.
Timber tan.
It's the only thing we had before.
That was all we had. Was timber tan.
Yeah, one color.
The walls and the roof.
Everything. Yeah.
They put timber. That building still stays.
Yes.
The panel was, I made it work, but we realized real quick that machine wasn't going to work.
Yeah.
Like the first job we did.
Yeah.
But the funny part is we're standing out there that night. We would go do Thanksgiving and do all that, and then we come back to the shop. We're going to roll these panels. So we're standing out there in Carhartts. It's freezing cold. It starts snowing on us. We have a gooseneck trailer, my gooseneck trailer at the time, backed up to the machine. We don't have a table for it to roll out on. So we're going to get this. We back the trailer up there. Justin gets stopped or whatever, gets me stopped, and we start rolling these panels. Well, when they're rolling, they start stacking against each other. Well, they're scratching, so we're like, let's get this broom handle. So one of us is holding the button, the other one has got this broom handle and rolling underneath it as it goes down, and then we go to cut it.
Yeah, we had to borrow that from Jason Bodek. Yeah, a little pan compressor,
Yeah. And then they goes to cut it.
Yeah, and it all chopping arm. It looks like something, like from the medieval ages,
Terrible.
A few times.
Yeah.
So we get the job rolled, and those panels were all fucked up, to be honest.
They worked out. They just, knowing what we know now, is like the machine is terrible.
So Blake calls me, it's like 3 or 4 days later, and he's like, these machines are banana and this and that. I'm like, yeah, that's fine. And then he's like, we got a problem. I was like, there are no problems in life. What? He's like, well, we put on X amount of sheets, and the skylights won't fit. I was like, oh, yeah, that's a problem. And we call homeboy back. What was that old dude's name?
Oh, I don't know.
Anyway, I'm going to punch him in the face. If you're watching this, I'm going to come find you. So anyway, we call him, and he sends this dude out. And I have my tool trailer and everything backed up there. I had to because he comes with one bag of tools. He gets out and he's messing with this thing all day. We got fishing line and piano wire trying to get this thing timed. And then at the end of the day, he's like, that's about as close as it's going to get. And it is not right? And I can see Blake's over there getting mad. I mean, Blake never gets mad. And I just see him starting to turn red. And I remember Grace, and she was on this little scooter in the shop, and she's going around in circles, right? And like having the time, right? Blake's over there. We're in a 1,200 square foot building. He's got a broom that wide, and he's over there sweeping. And I won't say exactly what he says. That way, I'm the only bad one here. But he pretty much told him got to leave. And then the guy's like, man, what's the closest strip joint I could stay out to? I'm like, dude, you're going to get in that car and we're done.
And then I could really feel my ears start getting red.
Yeah, that's when it all went to hell. That was the first and the last run of the maiden voyage of the little roll former. Next day, I called Bradbury. Blake called MRS. Bradbury jumped first, and they showed up, and we signed on the dotted line. And like I said, thank God for...
Yeah, we thought there's no way they're going to give us this much money.
No. No, it wasn't.
And they did.
If it hadn't have been for Blake having budget, they wouldn't have.
Yeah.
So it worked out pretty good. I was fortunate enough to put the down payment down. Blake signed on the dotted line. Well, then now we got 6 months. Machines are on their way, right? Well, the machine that we buying is twice as long as the
at least.
So we're next door.
Best. This is getting into the good stuff.
Well, this will tell you a lot about Blake's and I relationship, right? So if you ever think that he and I have trust issues, we don't. So we're in the shop. Next door was the guy that built all my cabinets when I was still building, right? So the people that don't know, I did dirt work. I'd pour the concrete. Blake would stay in the buildings. I'd go back in and finish them out. And that's how we did it. And so I'm over here talking, and they're like, yeah, let's go down here to the Chinese buffet. And it's right there by Walmart. And I meet this guy, and he owns the building next door.
That you're in now.
Yeah, the original
building.
Yeah, where our offices still are. And we're sitting there chit-chatting. I don't remember what he sold it to us for, $240?
Yeah.
Something like that. Anyway, I walk out, and me and this old man, we're sitting there chit-chatting, and the guy that it took me to the table to meet him, and we shook hands.
Yeah.
I called Blake. I said, hey, I bought a building. And he's like, you what? And I'm like, yeah, I bought us a building. I need you to bring $20,000. We're going to close in 15 days, and this is what we're doing. He's like, what? And I'm like, yeah.
I mean, could you tell me where it's at?
Yeah, I said, you want to go see it?
Yeah, that's really how it went down.
He really did. And 15 days later, we drive to Hazel, Texas. We both throw $20,000 on the table, and the dude, he did like a 10-year AM. Maybe no, he did it like a 20-year AM and a 10-year balloon, and we paid that some. It's all first 2 years we had it. But that was pretty crazy. I guess that building was something.
Yeah, there's a lot. We can get into more of that building.
You want to know some stories about that building? So they had all the. I don't know if I that is or not.
Yeah,
tell it, and
you can tell it now. It doesn't matter.
Steve's a good dude, and so they had all this lumber in there, and it was wood that was like 100, 150 years old. They restored the window units and window casings for the courthouses across Texas. Yeah. So the wood had to be original. It was in there. And so we kept telling them to clean it up, clean it up, clean it up, clean it up, clean it up. On a Saturday morning, Blake calls the fire marshal, and he's like, can we burn?
They're like, you're outside the city, which we wasn't, but
we're 50-50. We were right up in the corner.
It's not as big as this room.
That's where the fire was.
Yeah.
Well, tell him what we did.
No. Like you said, we had told him many times, we have machines coming and we need your stuff.
Well, we had helped him clean it up one time before that, remember, because Rod was sleeping in the floor.
Yeah.
We had took all of our guys in there.
It was so bad, like you couldn't even walk through the building. I mean, like it was like little...
I still have a picture of that red little air compressor that was that tall, and it had a one wooden wheel on it they had made for it.
Yeah. Like there was wood shavings up the sidewall. You can't even see the sidewalls. I mean, it was bad. So we get this wild hair. We're going to clean it up because we got these machines coming. So just a Saturday and Sunday from all day long and start cleaning it up. He was at a graduation. He shows up on
We
Monday.
asked him to come help.
So we did it for him.
The look on his face.
Yeah. So we get it cleaned up. I'm talking like everything. He's pushed over in the corner and everything's gone. This is after we burned, I don't know how much wood.
He said, "Where's my wood?" I said, "A fucking pile of acid up there."
Which he would have never used. He would have never used. Couldn't even see it. I mean, we're finding it as we're digging. But anyways,
Oh my God.
he walked in and it was just like a... I mean, and I'm thinking, oh, here we go. And he didn't say a word.
He didn't.
Which was probably best after we'd been up there all day. And
It was brutal. Yeah. Well, we got it so clean. Blake put his blower on his back, and you could blow through it. I probably wouldn't even try that today in that shop, but we had it that clean. Then we had to start adding on to it.
So are y'all JAG at this point? Y'all,
So let's see. So that would have been, we cleaned it up the first time in February. That was when we ordered the machines. And then Chad Lee, attorney at law, I need money for that, Chad. Chad and I were standing outside, I think, and I wanted to ask him to form JAG at the time. So I think JAG was formed in like February, March. Anyway, so we ordered the machines, but the machines were going to be here in September. We had to move. So we cleaned it the first time after we'd first bought it. And then we were in T-shirts. I remember that. Because the dumpsters we had sent out, by the time we had added on that second half, when Bradbury here was installing, when we did the whole, what's this?
We had to move.
Yeah, they were there. So, yeah, JAG, I think it was in March or April, JAG would have been formed. So that's the 2015. March the 15th of 2016 is when we looked at our real date, because that's when we weren't playing ping pong all day and rebuilding 18-wheelers.
I still have pictures of that, by the way. We could have become ping pong champions.
We were.
Yeah. We'd go out there and all the orders we had, we'd go out there and make it like 30 minutes, and then we were back to playing. It was me and you and Lane and
Poncho and Gator.
Yeah, and whoever else.
Gator was there then. Let's fast forward to that. Let's get to machines. So Zach was gracious enough that he let us use his shop next door, which actually we occupy now, to unload the machines. Well, he had this big-ass forklift. Well, we didn't have it, like, really prepared, but I'll never forget, like, yeah, right. We don't have shit prepared, but I'll never forget, like, he's got half of the roll former, and this thing's pretty much maxing out that, it's pretty much maxing out the forklift. It's so heavy. And there's like a water trail that runs between the two properties, and Blake hits it, and all I remember is hitting on his brakes. He's like this, and it's like, he's leaning, it touches the ground, and then he rocks back. And here we're going on it. We didn't even have a roof on it. We're moving machines, and we hadn't even finished putting the roof on it.
Let's have the concrete poured not too long for that.
So we get the machine set up, and they come out to train us, and which Blake's the smarter of the two of us on trim, all that stuff. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. And I had to slit all the material and run the panels. Blake knew all the profiles and how to run the brake. Well, the guy's trying to train us on it. Well, we'd already started drinking.
rise.
So we're sitting there and he's training, and Blake's like his screen with him, and the guy's going over it with him, and it was not working. And then Blake like made it work, and I'm like, "Are you fucking training us, or are we training you?" Blake's, "Shut up, Justin." Tell you the worst though, right? So we're broke as a joke, and
at this point we're broke.
Yeah, we had to order some material in. Well, we had Galvalume, and they have to time those machines. This dude goes to rolling 10-footers out like Johnny B. Good, cutting them. All I'm seeing is money. That's $20 every time he is whacking one of them at the time. And I'm like, when do you think he's going to quit doing that? Blake's like, I don't know. Go talk to him. So I'm like, hey, man. It's good. I'm like, it's good. I mean, because even like when we got our first coils in, so we had Rosie came, remember Rosie? With, Sherwin-Williams.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, this dude's crazier than me, probably. But
His name's Rosie?
yeah,
Yeah.
Dave Rosenthal, but
good
everybody calls him Rosie. Dude's straight up on speed.
I mean, he is.
This dude is 110 Mach 5. I mean, it's crazy.
But a good guy. And
So I'm sitting there and I got the mathematical brain on, I got a calculator stuck in my head. And I'm like, okay, so I'm doing this, I'm about that, and we're going to roll at 150 foot a minute. I got all this stuff going on. I was like, we're going to roll 6 18-wheelers in 24 hours. He said, there's nobody ever rode 6 18-wheelers in 24 hours. I said, you about to see it? And in my head, that's how I saw it. So we got to be vendors for Lowe's, which is huge, right? Yeah. And so we would build during the day, and then Blake and I would either leave our guys or we'd come at night. And I would slit all the trim down, and then he'd stay over and break everything that he could that wasn't so long that it took 2 people. And then I'd roll panel. Mm-hmm. And I remember one night we were sitting there, and it was just, I don't know, you like zone out. We
were so tired. We were out here tired.
But remember that?
Didn't sleep.
And then I'm sitting there, and all I could think of was Sanford and Son of all boom, bam, boom. Boom, 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 boom. And he's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm trying to stay awake.
I mean, it was like silence in there. We were breaking trim and there was nothing said. And then all of a sudden he starts saying, I'm like,
when we started, we didn't have a way to take a coil. So the coils come in standing up like this. They're 10,000 pounds. And you've got to get them over on their side. Well, Mr. Welder over here, he builds us one. And it was badass. Why don't you explain how that went down?
we didn't have the machines to tip this thing with. So I built it to where we could pick it up with the machine and to ease it over. Well, there's no easing over 10,000 pounds of coal. So get it all built or whatever, and it's stout. I mean, I've built this thing like I think it's overkill stout. So we still have the old forklift.
Yeah.
So you get this thing, we're going to tip this coal or whatever. It's burnt slate. I'll never forget it. And I'm on the forklift. How do we tie it off?
Well, you always stand I was beside you. You had a strap to it.
He's going to hold it.
Waist.
I got it. Just tip it up. I got it. Well, I tip it up, and when I do...
Well, you couldn't see through the forks.
No, I couldn't see anything. I could see him, but I couldn't see the forks or anything I was doing. He's like, I got it, and he's holding this strap. Well, I tip it up, and I feel it going, and this strap breaks, and this coil looked like a slinky going out through there. I mean, it just hit the ground, and I'm like...
He goes, how bad is it?
Yeah, I couldn't see at this point, and I didn't look. I was still sitting in the middle of the forklift. I'm like, how bad is it? Yeah. He's like... Well, it's not good, and I don't know how much of that coal.
If that strap hadn't broke,
It'd have killed both of us. It'd have probably yanked that forklift to the wall. Yeah.
I'd have looked like Superman going through the back wall of that shop.
Oh.
It was good times. So then we finally get rolling. I guess we'll skip some more of it. And
Let's get the whole truck, Bill, rebuilding the truck.
Blake out there with his sawzall cutting a sleeper off this thing. And then we painted it there, too.
Yeah.
It turned out badass.
Yeah, it did.
Arnie screwed that up. But anyway, so we'll fast forward on.
We're still waiting on customers to come in.
Got it from a guy, got payout plan on it, right? We go pick it up. Blake's like, what are you going to do? I said, I'm driving this son of a bitch home. Well, it had a 13-speed in it, but they had the big hole and the little hole flipped upside down. So you should have came over here and went to the eye hole with it. But I kept grinding this thing, and it was a nightmare. But we figured that out, too. We get it home, no insurance, nothing. I mean, they'd have thrown me in jail if they'd have pulled me over, right? But we get it home. We rebuilt it. We worked along. We were doing a few jobs here and there. And then we finally get a big job, like a big job. And that was the March 15th date. The rest is history.
I still have pictures of the truck being stacked with sheets.
Yeah.
Most greatest thing ever.
So Jaden and I, obviously, we worked together a long time ago. And the city kind of got on us because we just built the building without asking. We had to bring in engineers. It's easier to ask forgiveness than it is permission.
So we played dumb, which was not hard for me. But yeah.
I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about.
It's kind of like burning the wood. I didn't know.
So we had to get the slab x-rayed and the welds and the sizing of the beams and everything. So I called Jaden, and he's working for a company over off Brian Irvin, I guess, off 20. So he comes out, and then we just go to talking about it, and we're like, hey, we need to start doing bolt-ups as well. So there's your prelude into Jayden.
Jayden Cagle, he is PMB division.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right? I always get it wrong.
Bolt-up division.
Bolt-up division, Fab Forward Metals also. I think personally, y'all all three are some of the smartest people I've ever known.
Oh, Jayden's one of the smartest people you ever meet.
Exactly right.
I mean, he partnered with us, didn't he?
There you go.
What?
I want to make sure we give a shout out to Jayden. Thank you for all you do. You can be here today.
He's in Ohio getting 2 dual-head machines ready to ship down here right now.
Back to y'all two.
Okay.
Y'all are,
Gonna get real, right?
well, y'all are like oil and water. Different, but both combined make such a great team. You talk about what Justin brings to the table, and you talk about what Blake brings to the table to make y'all's partnership in JAG so successful.
Well, everybody always said that he was the gas and I was the brake.
Yeah.
And pretty much that sums it up. He'd come to me and be like, whoa, wait a minute. And then we need to do this. I'm like, okay. But that's how it's always been. I mean, anything we ever did, any kind of sponsorship, and I'm like, how in the world are we going to pay for that? And then we're doing it.
You can do it!
But it's always worked out. Never had really any arguments about anything.
We had one. So I swore I'd never have another partner, right? I'd been down that road. I don't know. It just, with Blake, it fit. But the difference was Blake would work as hard and as long as I would. And I think when you find somebody who's willing to stay, and do the dumb shit that nobody else, everybody else wants to go home. And there was a lot of nights, a lot of times in our life that we never went home, even when we were in South Texas.
Yeah.
I mean, we would pour concrete down in South Texas, and then we'd literally go try to help Blake and Lane finish roofing a job.
Yeah.
Which I was always stepping on the highs. I shouldn't have been up there. I'm like, wait. He's like, don't do that. And I'm like,
Sorry, Bo Leonard.
yeah.
Yeah, sorry, Bo.
That's what made it work. Like, we both had our own path. Like, if he was on the tractor, I knew to run the shovel. If I'm on the tractor, he knew to run the shovel. It wasn't like you do this or you do that. Like I said, I think we set the parameters really fast because he ran the trim brake, I slid it down, got it ready for him, and then I'd run the panels.
Yeah. Well, I think when you have chemistry, like, it just automatically works. Like, life has a good way of working out when it's supposed to be happening,
Yeah.
Like, y'all together were supposed to happen. God, you want to say that? But okay, so I know we talked about a lot of moments where y'all thought y'all were totally screwed, but do y'all have a specific another moment where y'all were totally screwed? We're never gonna get out of this, but then y'all figured it out and y'all go.
I've got one. Sitting in a Dodge pickup, mega cab dually that he had. We were sitting right down there by the shop, and we had a guy that was wanting to come in, and he was wanting to kind of get a little part of it or whatever, and we're broke. I mean, broke. Well, he didn't want to do it. I don't know if I could say his name or not, but he didn't want to do it. Yeah, you know who you are. Probably won't listen to this, but he didn't want to do it.
He goes, well, what are you going to give me? And all I had was the house. And I said, yeah, my house. I don't need a house.
We're sitting in the truck, and I'm like, man, we're broke. Like, what are we going to do? And we went to work. That's what we did.
We called everybody.
Yeah.
And speaking of Bo Leonard, which great friend of both of ours, good man. Bo was the last one we talked to that day, and he goes, now you boys, he's a lawyer down in South Texas. They own a big oil field company. He said, now you boys going to be all right, and you just keep it together. I got out of that truck. I was so goddamn mad. Because we'd been on the phone for like 6 hours with different people somewhere in there, right? I mean, it's a long time. We called nearly everybody we knew. And I told Blake, I said, I'll never call anybody ever again, ever. I'll never ask anybody for anything ever again. And the next day, phone rings. And this guy, he's out towards Brock. He's like, hey, the concrete company gave me your number. Would you come pour my driveway? And I'm like, well, how big is it? And he tells me, made 15 grand in 3 days, and we's back in business.
Back in business, baby.
Then we went back to building.
We had to. We had no choice.
We did.
We were gonna. It's either that or we were going broke.
And so the same guy that didn't give us the 100 grand, he told me one time, he said, Bradley, he said, just so you know, there's nobody wants you to make it.
I'm gonna laugh at
No, he bought from us. So he came in like 4 years after that, after we'd already had a couple of other stores and we were out there. And he looked at me and he said, I messed up, didn't I? And I said, I don't know. Did you?
I'm surprised you didn't say, yeah, you fucking did.
No. Nah, you know, I think it was a blessing we didn't get any.
Yeah,
I mean,
it was.
I mean, you talk about
For
the God
sure.
thing. I mean, like, you got some true, man, like that's for real. For nobody to have their hooks in us, that's a godsend.
Yeah. All right. So moving on, I don't know if y'all saw, I know Shelly saw. Hey, Shelly, Blake's beautiful wife. She shared it for me, but I wanted to ask some of the people on Facebook some questions to ask y'all, and I got 2 for you.
Oh, no.
Drink some more. But no, this one's pretty good. This is actually from one of y'all's employees up in Gainesville, and he says, as a fairly new player in the steel industry, what unique challenges and opportunities has your company faced in trying to innovate while competing against, the big boys? Which JAG has grown to be a pretty big player. So
Though, we never really looked at it as they're our competition. Not one time did we ever say, well, we've got to compete against them or them. We were different. I mean, we knew what we had and we knew we would bust our ass and make it happen. I guess as a smaller company at the time, we never really thought about it.
I quit taking prices a year or maybe less than a year after we were in business, and I've never looked again. The challenges. So there's a little orange store down the street that sells a lot of steel, and we have a couple of their employees. May have a couple more before it's over.
Welcome.
But they always made fun of us that we'd never make it, and I know that because we have one of their biggest salesmen. And I think with that, it just takes time. We used to go over to, I guess I could say the name, doesn't matter to me. So we couldn't make peak sheets at first. Remember, we'd go over there every week.
Yeah.
God almighty, I got tired of driving over there and getting them. And we only run the same colors, but that's what we did. I think we were always our own challenge. I don't think we really battled them. Even to this day, we still don't battle. To answer that question, I think the challenge is all the ones that are doing what we do now because they think they're going to be the next JAG. That's the challenge. Mm-hmm. There wasn't a roll former within 65 miles of here. There's 5 now.
I don't think anybody knows what it takes. They're willing to.
Yeah, this isn't an 8-hour day job.
Not at all. We went for 5 years and there was times, like you said, I'd go home. I'd tell them good night and they were already sleeping. I would come back up here. That went on for
3 years when we got really super busy. Yeah. It got so heavy at one time that we were literally not going home. And what we were doing, we were bringing the guys in. We're on about 18 hours a day.
18.
So we would break them off an hour apart to where there was always somebody here. And that's why those guys are all still in that shop, right? So we've had a COO come in, Ron, he gone. None personal. He left. It's his fault he left. The one thing that we've always done with our employees is we've never cared about the amount of overtime they get, right? We allow that to happen. Or like with my brother that's coming up soon, 8 hours a day is cool. But 3 days a week, sometimes 4. But that was something, we've never gone corporate, but we have gotten bigger. And I think like with Fab, you could kind of see they have a little bit more of a corporate structure than JAG. But like with JAG, we've just always considered everybody family. And like our guys in that shop, they're lights out.
Yeah.
And so
they are in the yard and
everybody,
Yeah.
right? But that's what we've always made it happen.
Yeah. And a lot of your employees that stay, they've been here for
Ever. Yeah. Bump.
started
Kim.
hard man.
Yeah. Will. We've got a lot of great employees.
Great employees.
Yeah.
That I've interviewed a lot of them, and they're like, just love you all so much. Like, just can't. I'm like, calm down. Okay, so moving on to the next one. And this one wanted to stay anonymous. How crazy was it at JAG when COVID first?
It was crazy, but we didn't know what was going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we hung the plastic in front of the sales reps, but we didn't know what to do, right? So you're trying to stay compliant, for whatever compliancy. And thank God we're in Weatherford, Texas, you know, like Paul Pascal, I mean, he never shut it down. Just Texas, period. We'll just leave it at Texas. Thank God for Texas because we didn't have to shut down.
Being a builder too, like,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, I heard y'all were like rolling like 20 hours a day, like crazy. Cause
Oh, you're talking about that part of it.
Y'all were so busy.
So we doubled in the year of COVID, which is nearly impossible. So as JAG started, we doubled our first 5 years. But the year of COVID, when it hit, we shouldn't have doubled.
Yeah.
But prices skyrocketed. You had production. You couldn't get steel from everybody. There was a shortage on not so much coming out of Mexico, but especially like domestic steel, painted coils, things like that. The only thing that saved our ass is that all of our coal vendors are on rotation.
Mm-hmm.
And we've never changed that.
Yeah.
So, it was crazy. There was some crazy things happening in Rona. I called Blake. I buy this $285,000 Peterbilt. Go back and forth to Victorian, and I think I sold it for $190,000 last year. I was genius.
Winning.
But Rona was crazy. You know, it was fortunate enough for us. Our people and the people that work for us weren't that way.
Mm-hmm.
I think we had one or two that wanted to do the stay-home shit.
Mm-hmm.
They're no longer here.
Yeah, this is not a stay-at-home job.
Yeah.
You watched the last episode. I mean, y'all had a freaking Red Shahan crash in the shops.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
So yeah, that's all the questions I have for Filet. Unless y'all want to talk about some more things that we haven't covered, and let's see.
What you gonna talk about? We ain't covered. That's probably a whole other episode.
Yeah, it's gonna need to be because there's a lot.
There's a lot.
I mean, we skipped over a bunch.
You didn't even ask about our fight.
What's the best argument you've ever had? I guess you call it a best argument. And how did it end? I guess best means it ended well and not.
There was only one.
Yeah, I'll let you tell this.
We had this mom and dad pretty much issue with an employee. You know, you run to mom, you don't get what you want, you go to dad, maybe you get it. And then we got into it over this employee. And so it was late at night. And, you know, like always, especially then, everything was late.
Yeah, hour or two of sleep.
Yeah, you know, and it was like 9 or 10 at night. So we had it out, whatever. And next day, I just walked in and I told Blake, I said, we'll never go through this again. And I went to that employee and I explained to him that if you want your job, that we'll never go through this again. And Blake and I agreed that we'd never have an argument over an employee again, and we never did.
All right. Wow. You want to move to Jason?
Yeah.
Maybe I'll become a better interviewer.
Well, at least you're not as nervous now as you were when you sat down.
I'm just cold because Justin cranked the air down. We won't park it there next time.
I don't want to smoke.
That's it for JAG After Dark. For now.